Hi there, I'm Don.
And hi, I'm Cindy. Welcome to Pearls of Liberty for January 12th, 2013. Alex Jones was on the Piers Morgan CNN show this week. Wow, what a dynamic performance.
Yeah, I didn't watch it live. I just missed it, watched it as soon as it was up on the web, and I said, you know, I think people are going to kind of come down on him for being out of control, but I'm really glad he did what he did. And I agree with the analysis that says he broke the spell. He basically, you couldn't be encapsulated, contained. Yeah, the people that think that he should have been more polite and should have accommodated himself to the host program, I think they're missing it because they're expecting you to obey by the enemy's rules, and Alex was not playing any games. He was just who he is, and I think it's great. I think it was awesome. And he was sick. I suspect that maybe they might have even done something to try to make him sick. So overall, I thought it was extremely good, and not only that, it's really captured the attention of the web. And one of the really critical things, if you were paying attention to how this is unfolding, it came out that there really was a trap that they had set for Alex afterwards with something about at a Starbucks, and he would have been set up to look like an abusive person, and his discernment told him to steer clear of that area. It just didn't feel right to him, so he didn't go there. Wow, that's the Holy Spirit, and I'm thanking God, because what we have now is a whole lot of media attention. A lot of people heard of this guy for the first time, including, if you believe this, Howard Stern, but I don't believe for a minute he has never heard of Alex Jones before. This is just like phoniness to the max from Howard Stern. And they were trying to compliment and diss him at the same time, sort of what I would call a left-hand compliment. But anyway, he's getting really good exposure to people that haven't heard him before, and that's what Alex does, is galvanize people. And yeah, there's a split. There's some people that are saying, no, we have to play by the rules. But I'm coming down saying, oh no, we don't. And I thought it was great. I thought it was awesome. And there will probably be follow-ups. Alex got to look in his eyes in person, but in the future it's probably going to be via Skype connection or something, so he can do it from his own studio, and he'll be probably more relaxed and confident there. So I think we had something that really captured the attention of media, was very entertaining. And yeah, they only let him on 2 of the 3 segments he was supposed to be on, which meant that they didn't like their out-of-the-box guy. They weren't gonna let him continue that. It will be interesting to see what unfolds from him, but overall this was really good for the Liberty movement, and it's increasing the visibility of the people that are this whole anti-gun thing is really galvanizing the opposition. They want to do that. They want to start something, and this is what they plan to do it. However, their takedown afterwards didn't work. He didn't play by the rules. That's all good. So far, so good. Thank you, Alex.
Well, it does seem that they tried to set him up, tried to intimidate him. There were very obvious bully kind of guys that were following him around in dark suits and talking in their sleeves, and evidently there's a term for that when they want to, I think it was called bumper or something like that, when DHS wants to intimidate somebody, that they're very visible like that. You know, if someone is being watched because they're a true threat, the people who are watching are not going to be seen. But there were very obvious guys around Alex kind of threatening him in subtle ways. And it seemed like there was a lot set in motion that was meant to intimidate him. But Alex was not intimidated.
Imagine that.
Imagine that. So this week also, just ongoing, there's so much evidence coming out that Sandy Hook was a complete setup, and there's some evidence that it was some kind of a satanic sacrifice ritual. I guess there's a lot of Satanism in that area of Connecticut, but there's just a lot of solid evidence that the shooting as portrayed in the media, it was, I don't want to use the word faked because real people were hurt for real, but things are not as they appeared to be based on the media reports.
Yeah, I haven't had time to digest all of the stuff that's coming out in the alternative media, but there's a lot of people that are actually saying that they don't believe that anybody was actually hurt. That's being said. I don't know the truth of that. I just know the thing stinks to high heaven. It's very, very phony. One of the key pieces of evidence is that these memorial funds were set up before these victims were set up before the event even occurred. Things like that that just stink to high heaven. So this is obviously a false flag generated event that is intended to keep people, to make it so that people want to turn in their guns. And it's just a big con job is all it is. And it's galvanizing the resistance, and they're saying they're coming out, and you're nuts if you think they're going to try to take your guns, but hey, not going to allow you to have semi-automatic weapons. And anybody with half a brain that has any interest or awareness of guns know that that's just modern rifles and handguns are semi-automatic. Semi-automatic just means there's a cartridge, and you pull the trigger, one goes, you pull the trigger again, another one goes. You don't have to sit there pulling bullets into the thing manually. That's all a semi-automatic weapon is. And the media is trying to make it into a scary term, but there's just too many knowledgeable gun owners in America.
And more people died of hammers in the year 2011.
Hammers.
Than of assault rifles. So it's just, you know, as Don said, they're making a tempest in a teapot over Second Amendment issues. We want to mention something that is not a tempest in a teapot, and that is some of the accusations that have been stirred up against Barack Obama. Some allegations are being taken very seriously. I saw some articles this week, one stating that the Supreme Court is going to take a look at his personal documents and consider the possibility that they were forged. And Congress is looking at Benghazi, and evidently some of the acts surrounding Benghazi really were treasonous, and that's being taken very seriously.
Right. The way the script goes is that Obama wanted an October surprise that would make him look like a great leader, so what happened was he hired the bad guys to kidnap somebody, and then his good guys were going to rescue them, and it was all the setup, and it would look marvelous for him. But what actually happened was that the kidnapping went off script, and the good guys tried to rescue, but the mere fact that the good guys did not stand down, the Navy SEALs did not stand down like they were ordered to, so the bad guys, not Taliban, the Al-Qaeda people, that they're with the Libya connection, Al-Qaeda people, they decided that Obama had double-crossed them and that these guys were shooting them, and then they took the body that they kidnapped and dragged it through the streets and killed it. Killed the so-called ambassador. And there's just, this stinks to high heaven, to the point that it's obvious that if there is evidence from more than this one general who is stating these facts, that if these facts can be documented, then there's a clear incident that is a treasonable offense. So that is probably, I'm betting that there is some very strong maneuvering happening behind the scenes to try to make this go forward, and that maybe the Liberty Movement is doing a, hey, watch this over here by engaging this big gun debate, but behind the scenes moving forward with some investigation into Benghazi Gate, and that's my thoughts on the matter. Maybe a best case scenario, maybe wishful thinking, not really sure. We'll just see how it goes.
And of course, one of the rumors, I think that we've mentioned it here before, is that there is an interim president in place, that Nasara is being enacted, and that at some point in the near future, constitutional elections are going to be held. So there's all this mounting evidence against Obama, and probably against others as well. And as Don said, it's possible that there are people working behind the scenes to move this ball down the field, while the Second Amendment issue is the thing that's most in the public eye and is really in many respects galvanizing constitutional passion, Bill of Rights passion among people who love liberty and, you know, just the good old boys in America. So we'll see where all this goes. And of course, it wasn't the Liberty people who set up Sandy Hook. That's pretty obvious. That was just like Fast and Furious. That was intended to take away gun rights. But God has a hand in these things too. So everybody does their part, and God is over the whole thing, directing it. So we'll be watching to see what happens. This week, American Kabuki produced and put up a video of Al Biolek that was filmed in the year 2000. It's about the Montauk Boys and mind control, and there were a couple of really interesting points, and we have the link to the video in our notes and in our comment section on YouTube. Montauk Boys, there may have been 10 million Montauk Boys. They were programmed as sleepers, mostly, kind of like Manchurian Candidate, where they could be triggered at certain times by a phone call, by a song on the radio, various means. And one of the things that Al Biolek said that was very interesting is that in this type of programming that was used on these boys, the left and right hemispheres of the brain the programming separated them so that they don't have the ability to think in both hemispheres of the brain at the same time. And because of that, an easy test to find out if someone is under this kind of mind control is to have them look at one of those stereoscopic images, and if they can see the image, both sides of the brain are functioning together, and they aren't under this kind of mind control. If someone can't see the image, it's possible, I mean, of course they might just be colorblind, but it's possible that they could be under some kind of mind control. The good news is that Al Biolek said in the year 2000 that there's a very simple procedure that's related to, somewhat similar to a chiropractic technique, but it pretty much instantly repairs the breach between the two hemispheres, and the mind control spell is broken, and people can carry on with their lives without this hanging over them.
And then right after they do that to them, they say, "Did I fall asleep?" A little reference for Dollhouse fans.
Sure, you know, it's an old video. It's from the year 2000.
Yeah.
And I think that was before Kathy O'Brien and Bryce Taylor, Sue Ford came out with their books.
And before Dollhouse was produced.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, it's very real. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, but I have some question. He says, I didn't study this the way that you have. So I was wondering, is this the same thing as the Black-Eyed Boys, or is that completely different?
This is different. This is, they would take boys. Now, I don't know if this was with parental consent or not with parental consent, but they would take them to Montauk or in later in various places where they had these facilities and do a mind control procedure on them that did not take a extremely long time. I forget if they said maybe like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And so it's different from the deep trauma-based mind control that's been done on some of the other people.
Right. But that is what our friend John has said, that it is the new method. It's much quicker. They don't need to do the whole trauma-based they can do it much more quickly.
It's a very interesting video. Right. And like I said, we have the link. This is an interesting piece of news. In Maricopa County in Arizona, there are armed citizens. They are volunteers and they are on patrol. So this is the kind of gun use for the protection of citizens that has been, I shouldn't use the word citizen, but among the people that has been suggested that people, armed people patrolling and even just their presence makes a community much safer.
Yeah, we just want to say it is so clear that an armed population keeps the crime rate down, and that crime has been steadily decreasing. Violent crime has been steadily decreasing as the gun ownership goes up, and this is an example of that. And there's many more examples. One of the things in this debate about how should we protect kids in schools is that there's two ways to go. One is to have an armed guard right out front. Wouldn't that be wonderful? And another way is to let the teachers arm themselves as they see fit, including other staff like janitors, etc. And the second solution is the good solution. The first solution is the stupid solution, because if somebody wants to invade the school, all I have to do is take out the one armed guard. So the people that are framing the questions are trying to not make people think. But those are the issues that are really involved. And guns in the hands of law-abiding people does decrease violent crime. There's no question about it. The statistics prove it. And that's been one of the issues in the debate that we'd like to place right up there front and center.
There has been talk, and even in mainstream media, there have been articles about the consideration of trillion-dollar coins to pay off the national debt. And our finance man, Don Pearl, will comment.
I thought this was really interesting, because that idea has actually been proposed by some people that have, or ideas very similar to that, proposed by some people that I do respect, like Bill Still, who is the man behind The Money Masters and The Secret of Oz, and which talks about monetary policy, etc. But here's the key point that is not mentioned in the current discussion of this. Obama's proposal makes him look like a goofball, and I think that's the intent of the proposal, because if it is done correctly, it works, and doing it correctly means that a nation that is sovereign is not in debt. The United States is in debt. Nobody ever really answers the question, who are these people that we're in debt to? Oh yeah, there's these shadowy bankers, but we don't ever get anything more than that. Well, if people start to think and connect the dots, they'll say, wait a minute, I thought the Constitution says that the Congress is supposed to coin money, create money. And the idea of taking control of our monetary policy directly, that's what would happen if we said this coin is sufficient to pay off the debt and do it. But the key thing is, at the same time, you need to completely shift the way the monetary policy works. I ran across a great quote from John F. Kennedy, and I'm not sure if it's completely legit because I haven't seen it anywhere else. I tried to find it, but I saw it on Facebook. It may be a bogus quote, but it's a great idea, and I know that John Kennedy was working towards this end. He, in this quote, says that in order that as long as the current banking system exists, that people can't be really free, and we have to change the banking system. And he was, in fact, in the process of doing that, and that's, in my opinion, the primary reason why he was killed. He was killed for several other reasons, but that's the key reason. Anyway, the $1 trillion coin idea is meant to make an idea that is good if fully integrated look goofball, and therefore to anesthetize, to make it the people reject that idea out of hand as a kooky goofball idea. And that's what I think was going on.
Of course, people in the dinar community are all excited, believing that the $1 trillion coin will be the front for the financial restoration, redemption that occurs in tandem with the RV. Time will tell.
Yeah, a lot of disinfo going on there, so we'll see. We know there's actions behind the scenes. Benjamin Fulford talked about that in his blog on Monday. We typically, by the time we do this, we almost forget about that, but we always really look forward to hearing what Benjamin has to say. And one of the last things is that there are serious negotiations going on behind the scenes that will determine exactly how the Asian countries where he's located and tie in, and how this whole thing unfolds. There's a lot of people having input into how the new global financial system is going to work. That means the non-Anglo-American banking system, and it's going to be fully collateralized, Basel III, gold and other asset based, all that, but it requires a lot of groundwork to set it up. So we are trusting that that is in motion behind the scenes, and we look forward to hearing more as that progresses.
And Don mentioned that there is a lot of disinfo. In general, there is a lot of disinfo and people making suggestions, and there was an article released this week. I think the original article was on Above Top Secret. It's a blog written by a guy who used to be a shill and who was paid to write pro-Israel. Just happened. I mean, he said he worked with many people who wrote on many subjects, but his subject was encouraging people to support Israel with war and finances, so on and so forth. There's a lot of investment in, and then that article kind of reinforces that idea. There's a lot of investment in misleading people, giving disinfo. A caller on Alex Jones this week said that he was encouraging people to get off Facebook en masse, and it just didn't quite ring true to me. What I thought was, okay, we're being effective on Facebook, so stay on. I mean, and it just sounded misleading to me. And there have been other things recently. There was a report from, I guess, DHS that Java is very dangerous, and we were kind of wondering if that was misinformation, disinformation.
Yeah, we're more tech savvy than most people by far, and even among internet users, and both of us have enough technical background to know how pervasive Java is in a good way. Many things run on Java, and there are antivirus programs that can pick up threats, and those, if there were serious Java security flaws, there would good antivirus programs like Kaspersky, McAfee, Norton, other ones, you name it. There's a lot of good free ones out there too, that they would be picking this up, and or would have been over a period. It's not like all of a sudden, oh, we discovered Java is bad and gosh, you've got to stop using Java. Well, if people turn off the Java capability of their computer, you've lost about 80% of the at least video component of the web, and much of the text capability too. So it's like shooting yourself in the foot and saying go run the fastest mile you can run. It's just stupid. So we really think that this whole Java thing scare is bogus. It's just a fear tactic to try to get people to detach from the good information that's coming out on the web.
My version of Firefox doesn't run without, it won't play YouTube videos without Java. So that was kind of a tip-off. Without Java, if people can't watch YouTube videos, there's so much good information that would be very quickly limited. Now, we're not saying absolutely that Java's safe, and we're not advising you to let the Java run on your computer. This is something that you should discuss with any computer tech professional that helps you out, a geek or whatever they're called, and make your own decision. But there's just constantly this possibility that something that somebody is saying firmly with a lot of confidence and on a from a large platform may not be true.
They're gaslighting you.
Just don't turn this off. We're so used to putting ourselves on autopilot, watching television, and even sometimes reading things online. Don't turn it off. Leave it on, and have a great week coming up.
Right. See the world the way that it really is. See yourself in it. Walk your walk. You and those around you are the ones you've been waiting for. Thank you.